Welcome to the Outer Realm with MicheleDerocher and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO, Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from beautiful New Orleans. We're fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee who have been a part of our journey for the last few years. So thank you, Folgers. We couldn't do it without you, nor would we want to. Also, big thank you to Justin Snicker, a.k.a. Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, for his contribution of his time, his music, and his voice for the intro you just heard. He is an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, and sci-fi, dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite music streaming platforms. Also, big thank you, Steve McGinnis, the artist behind all of our logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Does amazing commission pieces of any sort. However, does also specializes in the horror and Halloween genre. So thank you. And guys, yes, I am actually moving tonight. Wasn't that bizarre last night? Let me share with you. As soon as our guest exited the studio, my camera came back up. Fairies, maybe. It was a weird experience. I have no explanation. But with that being said, technical issues happened today globally for not just our soundboard, but for, third-party portals that apparently is used by Google, the StreamYard, and many different companies. So it was down for probably about 3 hours, and I wasn't sure we'd be live tonight. So very grateful to be live tonight. And I'm really glad we are, because I get to hang out with a friend of mine, also paranormal researcher, author. We're going to be talking about, high strangeness, the obscure, paranormal, cryptids, so on and so forth. And it's going to be a lot of fun. This is his second time with us, and we're just going to have a whole lot of fun. So let's just get all laid back, and we'll make our way through the comments. Again, remember, we're at simultaneously 8 different locations, no chat room on Roku TV. We're on X, we're on Rumble, we're on 4 different YouTubes, and we are on the Outer Realm Facebook. So we're sort of everywhere, okay? And we will put up your comments as we go along. I will flag your questions, but we do go to the beat of our guest's drum. All right. Without further ado, my friend Dan. Hello.
Hello. Only 4 YouTube channels?
4 YouTube channels. Yeah, one on X, one on Rumble. Yeah, Facebook, wow. Roku. Yeah, Roku TV. Yeah.
Busy. That's awesome.
It is great. I can't complain. I'm just always happy to be busy, and
I think that when I had my podcast, I should have had a YouTube channel as well. And people have been giving me, poo-poo for quite a while, but
you can always just, you can still upload. Right?
I guess.
I know I'm moving on the screen. Thank you for that. Obvious. Captain Obvious, as it would say. I know. Oh, my God. I'm just saying hi to everybody. Gremlins. Yes, it could be the gremlins for sure. Little buggers, But as we make our way down, so many people. Hello. Oh, my goodness. I try to get to everybody. And of
hello,
course,
Patsy.
I will do my very best. Hey, Kurt. So a lot of people chiming in, more coming. But yeah, your second time you've been on, and we've, we chit chat because we text back and forth, and have little parlays here and there, and always a lot of things going on. So
well, it's always 99 times out of 100, it's me contacting you saying, Michelle, I have a problem here. I have an issue here. What do I do? But I'm glad that you do get back to me eventually, because you are a busy lady. So.
Sometimes I'm right on it. Other times it takes me
pretty
a
chatty,
while.
and I'm thinking, man, she's kind of lonely.
Sometimes I look at the text and go, okay, yeah, I'm driving, so I have to remember to get back. And then I forget because, there's just so many things that I
That's
get
right.
bombarded with. But
I imagine your phone blows up quite a bit.
it does.
It does.
It does. It does. But that's why I figured, this would be a nice, easy way to catch up. And, so like, what have you been up to? What have you been up since we talked last?
Oh, paranormal wise, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you have,
You know,
I know you wrote a book, and I'm going to put that up like right now as we speak. Okay.
Yeah,
So I want everybody to see it.
I wrote my book a few years ago, and it is on Amazon. And only on Amazon. If you type in my name, I'm the only thing that pops up. So I'm the only Dan Hammond on Amazon for now, which is good.
Right.
So,
And this is your story, your journey, and different experiences that you've had, and so on.
yes. So there was a time period, and I think it was the first time that I was on your show, where like during around the first time.
Okay, got it. Yes.
Where I was having so many things happen to me.
Yeah.
It was so bizarre. It was almost like, I tend to think that there's no such thing as coincidences.
I agree.
And I was having so much stuff happen to me where I was developing or discovering that I had like some paranormal abilities, things that I've spoken with you obviously in person about. I've seen spirits. I was clearing homes remotely with another person that you and I both know. Mm-hmm. We'll just say his name is John, and it is John. Yeah. It's not an alias. Yeah. But and I became a part of a paranormal group, a paranormal investigators group. I became part of Ontario Sasquatch research team. I've been on. I got to be on your show. I had my own podcast for 4 years.
Yes.
I've been on several other podcasts, like so many that I can't even recall. Your show, television shows, documentaries, and it all just seemed to happen like just like a steamroller.
Right.
And
yeah.
And there was a time there, like I mean, COVID kind of screwed everything up for everybody.
Sure.
And it continues to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the Ontario Sasquatch logo, which I had some hand in designing.
There we go. I'll give a little plug there.
And if anybody's watching from the US, that's the shape of the province of Ontario.
Right.
And it kind of looks like a foot. So we added some toes on there, and
it does.
Put a little Bigfoot in the middle.
Gets the point across.
So
yes.
Yeah, but I mean, paranormal investigating takes a lot of your time.
It does.
A lot of people think it's they watch some of these shows on TV, and we will not name them, but there's these guys that go into these buildings and they scream at everything that little sound and bang around in the dark, and people think, oh, this is great. I really want to do this. But 99% of the time you're sitting in the dark talking to yourself. It's boring. Mm-hmm. You're wishing you brought a snack. You're wishing you brought a coffee with you. And as my friend Tony, who is part of our paranormal team, says, it's all the after work that you have to do, the hours and hours of listening to your electronic voice phenomena, like your recorders, and watching your cameras, and you might be there for 8 hours and you don't get a darn thing.
Well, I mean, let's put it this way. I mean, let's say you've got 4 video cameras down and they're all running for 8 hours.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And usually we have a recorder at every camera too.
Oh, yeah. People don't realize that. I used to do that when people used to ask me if I would be interested in filming investigative shows, and so then we would talk about that. And as to the time allotted, I said, what you fail to realize is I usually have recorders in literally every single room. And you have at least half of those rooms also being monitored by cameras or, like CTVs or things like that, right? CCTVs. And it's like nobody has that kind of time.
Yeah.
So I decline.
It's a good hobby if you're, I guess, independently wealthy or you're retired. That's it.
Yeah.
That's not me right now.
It's not. No.
No.
Yeah.
But,
It makes it really hard, doesn't it? And I don't think people have, you know, I mean, investigators can look at you and go, yeah, I can relate to what he's saying. And then you have the people who are watching these shows and they don't realize the amount of time involved in trying to
well,
get
and
through
they have production assistants that listen to all these things and review the cameras and watch.
Yeah.
You know, and like those guys get to home and sleep and
that's true. Those guys who do just that. Yeah.
That's right. Get ready for their next adventure. Right?
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah.
But I mean, you know what? That's what makes it exciting. But I remember nights of having to listen to EVPs. And, you know, and it's all quiet, nothing happens. And at least in my case, because of some of the type, I would only work certain types of locations, right? Usually very aggressive ones. And I remember a couple of times I'm nodding off and all of a sudden this big growl comes through and I almost had a stroke the first time it happened. Like, oh my freaking God, that's just about killed me. So, because, you know, you're just used to this humming, droning, quiet. All of a sudden this big thing, this loud noise comes through or a big bang or something. And just like, I'm okay.
You know, the very first EVP I ever got was a very like a breath going.
Oh, nice.
And you know what? It was my very first one. It was back when I had a little office in town here where I used to do all my artwork and stuff.
Yeah.
And very haunted building. I mean, the town I live in, it's like crazy haunted. Like the whole town is like
crazy.
There's like the hell mouth. You know?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
And at first I was like, holy cow, that was pretty scary. But then I wanted more.
Yeah.
You know, and I said, like, well, don't be like, and I'm thinking, well, why would a spirit come up to a recorder and go, like, it doesn't make, or like, you know, but they're people. So
they're going to mess with you.
We have had EVPs come through where the spirit has gone, ooh, you know, because like if the guy had a sense of humor when he was alive, why wouldn't he have one when he's crossed over, right?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah, Kurt says a labor of love. You have to love doing it. That's what I love about it. It was easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But of course, only the dedicated put the work into it. That's all about the truth, none of the money or fame. For some it is. And for some, you know, maybe it's not. And it's just, you know, living the dream, I guess, you know. But it's the only way. I mean, people come up to me and say, you know, because I've done a lot of television, and they'll say, "Oh, you must make a lot of money." I'm like, "What? Money? You get paid?" Like, what? Well, I'm doing it all wrong.
And people are surprised that we offer our services for free.
It's true.
Like if you charge someone to investigate their home, that's pretty crappy, you know.
Look, people can barely afford to eat.
Yeah.
The last thing that they should be doing is charging for services like that. You know, it's just, if you're looking at something for entertainment, you know, like people go for readings and things like that. It's just, if you're making your living that way, that's, you know, that's what they want to do. They have the spare money. They want to do it. Absolutely. Hello, Carol Ann. And, you know, Wayne says, I can barely afford to pay attention. See, there we go. But with that being said, you know, it's a matter of when you're helping people. Now, if you are putting yourself out there as someone that is reliable, that people can reach out to help them, that's a little bit different. A little bit of a different situation. But that's just me. That's just me and many of my colleagues. It doesn't mean it's the norm in every location or with everybody. It's just, it is for me and many of my colleagues. So, not trying to faux pas anybody. I'm not your parent.
And you don't want any bad karma either, right?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know, everybody's got to do you, sort of thing, right? Thank you, Michael. Hello. You know, you have to do you.
It's like a firefighter saying, well, give me $20 and I'll turn the hose on your house, right?
Yeah.
So
in some cases, yeah, it's pretty scary. I've worked some pretty heavy, you know, situations, and ones that I work tend to take a really long time in some cases, because there's no waving of the magic wand, like a lot of people think.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, and that's one thing that that I haven't done in a long time either. You know, there was a time there where John and I, who I had mentioned before, you know, when we worked as a team and we were doing our remote viewing, I guess, well, we call it remote viewing just for ease of conversation, but it's not technically like the the Stargate program or whatever else.
No.
But when we were clearing homes, I kind of got sidetracked here, but it was something that we liked to do. It was something that we were proud to do.
Yes.
And we were happy when people contacted us. Said, yeah, the house is quiet. There's nothing going on.
Yes.
And there is a particular spirit that we got rid of that was tormenting John. And he said, yeah, man, he says, we've got this guy's number. So he doesn't bother John at all.
Yes.
Which is great. But this person, this quote unquote spirit, and it was a human spirit, as far as I know, was just a total pain in the you know what. And like he was physically assaulting John. He physically assaulted me one night at his home. And we teamed up on him, and we ganged up on him and did our thing,
but it shows you,
I haven't seen him since. So
but it shows you, right? Like it's a matter of, like, they have a pretty long reach. They can still, even human spirits can be just as aggressive. Everyone tends to think, it's demon. No, we don't all run around screaming demon, believe it or not, despite what television may have you think. However, sometimes the behaviors can, human behaviors can be just as much of an a-hole and still be aggressive. And that's a perfect example of it.
Yeah, this guy was the epitome of aggressive. Like, he could move things. Yeah. He slapped me one evening. Yeah. All sorts of stuff. And a lot of people think, oh, this guy's nuts, but I loved it. I was like, oh, this is so cool.
Do it again.
Right?
Do it again. Yeah.
Hit me again, big boy.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
But it was almost like a weird paranormal investigator badge of honor. Like, a ghost slapped me, right?
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, to each his own,
to each his own.
But I mean, no, I get it. I think, you have people who look for ultimate experiences, and then you're getting one like that's kind of like, okay. But also, I think if you show fear, that it just empowers them, and they know, oh, okay. So it's best to just not, if you can, and just stand your ground.
It's funny you said that, because it was in John's home, and Tony was with us as well, the three of us, and went to bed. Like, there was nothing going on in the house, and John had me in this little windowless basement bedroom, which is like the size of a small bathroom.
Right.
And I'm laying there, it's pitch black, and something in my head said, you should probably keep your pants on. Just in case you have to jump up and run.
Oh boy.
And John used to make cutting boards.
Yes.
So he had all the wood in his family room, like in his basement, just outside the door, and I could hear the wood being tossed around.
Oh boy.
And I went, you bugger. He said, you want me to get up out of my comfy bed and go check? And I said, I'm not doing it. And I had a little crystal in my pocket, like a selenite crystal.
Right.
And because I was wearing my pants to bed, I had to take it out of my pocket, and because it was digging into my hip when I rolled over.
Right.
So I put it on the floor, and I could hear the rock lift up and go whack, whack, whack a couple times on the floor.
Wow. Yeah.
And I ignored it.
Yeah.
And in the morning, I woke up around 7 a.m. I think. Pitch black in this room too, because there's no windows.
Yeah.
I had my hand up like this, and this thing slapped my hand And I went, and I didn't react. I said, you know what, dude? I said, I got another hour to sleep here. Like, F off.
Be fighting
And
words. Yeah.
and you know what?
Yeah.
It left me alone. Like
Yeah.
he messed with some of my things, like piled some of my things on top of each
Sure.
other. And but other than that, it probably pissed him right off that I didn't jump up and scream and yell. And
I have
just
to
let,
tell you, Dan, I have never been hit.
Oh, really? You're not trying hard enough.
Maybe I'm too mean.
I've been hit a few times by different spirits.
I have never been hit. I have been growled at. I think I got pinched once, and I was just like, "I will pinch you back." Not the way you think would be enjoyable. That would be that.
Yes.
So yeah, but I've never had. I deal with a lot of aggressive type of energies, and I get growled at, and I just grab my purse. I'll see you soon. I'm on my way.
Never been scratched or anything like that?
Not to my knowledge. If it's happened, maybe when I'm asleep, and obviously not enough to stir my slumber.
Right. Oh, I've been slapped a few times and growled at as well.
Oh, I have been growled at. I have been called many crude things by certain growly folk.
As a disembodied voice or message in your head.
Yeah. Oh no. Very much like you could hear it. I've had it on EVPs. I've had it just like by over the phone, things like that. I've just
we know who the over the phone guy was because he came to visit me once.
Yeah.
And,
he ceases to be now. Let's put it that way.
That's when I left your home that one evening. And
did that happen to you then?
Yeah, and I had called John to let him know how the visit with you went, and he came through. He came through the Bluetooth when John and I were talking.
Yeah.
And then I said, "Oh, John, I got to hang up and tell Michelle." So I called you and I said, "Guess who just came through the the phone?" And you knew right away. You're like, "Oh yeah, it sounds like Buddy."
Yeah, it's
but
true.
You said he ceases to exist. He's gone.
You're welcome.
Cool. Yeah. Well, you'll have to tell me that story the next time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you made mention of it to us, and I was just like, okay,
very interesting.
Understand, you get rid of one, and you probably have a trail that will mimic the same behavior, do the same thing, because a lot of it is there to essentially discourage you, make you feel like you're not winning, that you're not getting the edge, that you're not doing anything. I've seen it so many times. It's unbelievable. But they all feel different. Every energy feels different. To me, no two feel the same. And when I pick up on one, it's like an imprint. I remember it very, very specifically. So, easy. I remember, the audio you played at the Paracon. Yeah. Isn't that great, though? Some of these are just little boobs, but they are. And I think it's one of those things that I was always taught to not show fear. You can feel it, but stand your ground, So I tend to be a bit cheeky, when I'm around certain things, and I'm cheeky, but, and it's not like I've not had things, infiltrate or, try. I mean, I've done so many interviews. I've told so many stories, throughout the years, with that, giving you that false sense of security. I still remember when I had something come in the house one night, and I woke up out of a dead sleep. My eyes just opened, and I went downstairs, and we had this big black lazy boy chair. And all of a sudden, like that term blacker than black, it really is a thing. And I could see this form in the chair, and it was dark in the house, and it was in the den, and I could hear this, and I just sat there, and I sat on the couch, and I went, "What?" Like, yes, what? And I got a big, and I just said, "Don't let the door hit you on the way out." I turned around, I went back upstairs to bed, and just as I was halfway up the stairs, I could hear this large, almost like a popping, like a boom, just like that. It was so loud. I just kind of went, "Oh," Like, all right, well, at least I know you're gone. That's good. Or there's like a big boom, like just busting through.
Do you think that
something.
whatever that was leaving through a portal, or
I think
or,
so. I
really?
think so. I'd never heard one like that, but then I don't always hear them. Sometimes you hear small popping sounds. Sometimes you'll hear like a crackling sounds. I've come to learn that a lot of that happens in alien abductions and contact as well. But I knew I'm being grunted at. Okay, but yeah, it was just really loud, like pop, like boom. I was just like, oh, I was a bit relieved. I won't lie. You're just sitting here in your gym jams. You're not ready to do battle.
Yeah.
Got your PJs on. It's like, look, man, but
that's why I left my pants on that one night.
Exactly. Sometimes
I
you just
wasn't running around I wasn't running around in my boxer briefs or whatever.
That's not what you need to be doing. I just, thank God, like we had like 2 acres of quiet. So if I had to run around outside in my gym jams, I would have. But it was still, that would have been it. Yeah, that happened too. That happened too. But I just think that Alan is correct too. Nothing too fair from discarnate beings. Nothing. Yeah, I get that as well. Again, I truly believe a lot of it has to do with mindset. And this is why I work with people on mindset. You can clear things till the cows come home. But if you don't train yourself in your mindset, you will just continue to be a victim. I truly believe that. It really is like you're marked by something after that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that you taught me early on. And when I go to people's homes, and they're having issues, that's one thing I always tell them: your mindset, don't show fear. I mean, if you see the cat float across the room, try to ignore it. Try to ignore it as best as you can.
Grab the cat.
Yeah, grab the poor cat, but
grab the poor cat.
But don't react to it, because they feed off your energy, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, when they're feeding off of that, that's what you have to remember. Just don't get in the ring, as they say.
That's right.
Right. So that's the way it goes. So, it's like people will ask about clearings. Well, can I use this or can I use that? And I said, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, what you use, because I've done different things. It's about the intention, of the focus, and your attention and your mindset. It's a power behind the words that you're using, and it's a strength behind the intention of the clearing itself.
And whatever, like basically whatever gives you that strength or that mental, toughness. Right. And whether it's an effigy of Jesus or Buddha or whatever, could, like I always used to joke with people saying I'd hold up a Batman action figure and say the power of Batman compels you, right? Yeah. But if you're really channeling that, and that's what makes you
channel your inner Batman. I remember a very famous medium once said, she was quoted as saying, you can recite a nursery rhyme if you want to. And if that is where you draw your power, if that's where you draw your strength, you just say it with everything that you have, with all the faith in the world, wherever that faith comes from, and choose it wisely. And I always say what you mean what you say, follow through. At the end, that's what it comes down to. And I believe that medium was Char Margolis. And she would be, what was the name? The TV series that she did with James Van Praagh. They were the producers. It eludes me. Hopefully it'll come to me. But I thought, you know what? That's a very interesting point of view to do. Right. So, because you have some people that just don't follow any specific faith. They're just looking for something, I mean, they have experiences, you try to be logical, but if you're in trouble, you're going to have to come up with something. Right. So
what I think I need to do is I need a little action figure of you.
Oh,
and,
oh boy. Maybe a bobblehead.
I was going to say a little bobblehead or something. I'll walk around, and the power of Michelle compels you.
A bobble finger. Yeah.
Hey, we could sell thousands maybe.
God. I was like, don't waste your money.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know. You got a lot of
Yeah.
fans out there.
I do. I'm very, very humbled by that. It's
That
really
would be
awesome.
funny. Maybe I'll make
Yeah.
one for you one day and
Yeah. Thank you.
surprise you
I'll
with it.
take said bobblehead.
Yeah.
The charm was rain, rain, go away. Come again another day. We'd like to play. Perfect spell or prayer, however you define it. 100%. I mean, words spelling technically is spell casting. You know what I mean? So there I'd buy a bunch. Thank you, Carol Ann. I can rely on you.
See, there we go.
Woohoo.
And hopefully nobody steals my idea.
I don't think so, because we all need one of those, Dan. You sell them, I'll be the first one.
I'm on it. That'll be my third time on the podcast, hawking the MicheleDerocher bobbleheads.
I know. Hell, but you did a kick-ass drawing of
yes,
as a Templar. I know. I posted it one time. It was really rocking it.
Yeah, I don't see it hanging up behind you though.
No, I've moved twice since I've got that. So that's tucked away with a lot of my other treasures right now. There's a lot of things I don't have hanging behind me right now.
I mean,
yeah.
I was just looking at the stuff behind you earlier, and I'm like, man, oh man, you've got a gray back there, and you've got a skull, and
yeah, the skull came to me as a haunted object. That guy right there. But
now, that's a question I want to ask you.
Okay.
Can objects be haunted? And like when Kathy wants a Michelle action figure. So like when I hear about the Annabelle doll, and it's going around, it's on tour right now, and they're making money, like charging people to look at this thing, and so everyone's like, oh, you can't touch it, like don't touch it, or something bad will happen. Like is that spirit, can it not leave the doll whenever it wants to? If there is a spirit in that doll, and like if you touch it, like is something really going to happen?
I mean, my take on it is I believe things can attach to whatever they want to. I mean, if a spirit can attach to a property,
sure, but that's a little bit more understandable than a Raggedy Ann doll, right?
Yes, well, yes or no. I mean, you have some spirits that attach to jewelry. You have others that will attach to furniture. I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff, and I think with that, there are ways to remove all of that, by the way. A good, binding, clearing can most certainly get rid of things like that. I mean, I've done that in the past. People give me haunted objects, and it's like I can remove it, and then I'll keep it for a few years. And I said, "You want it back? Like it'll sit in storage. You want it back? No, okay." Then it goes. I know it's clear. Then it goes to like donation. So I don't sell these things. I don't do anything with them. I don't keep them. They go to donation, usually Habitat for Humanity, something like that. And that's when I know 100% that is clear. Sometimes people are told by investigators that things are haunted. They're not haunted. Sometimes people just assume that something is haunted. It's not haunted. That phantom skull came to me, and Buddy swore up and down it was haunted. It was haunted. It was haunted. And I'm just like, I don't feel right taking objects, especially when they're worth a lot of money. I said, I'll hold on to them for you. You decide what you want to do. And I had that thing for probably about 3 years. I said, okay, look. It's not haunted. It's sitting on my desk forever. I had a baseball cap on him. We hang out. There's nothing going on with this thing, And he's just like, no, I don't want it. I absolutely don't want it. You keep it. I'm just like, okay, well, I'm not going to argue with you. It's a small enough piece I could most certainly keep. And it's not one easily that you could just go and donate to Habitat for Humanity.
No.
You know what I mean?
Somebody will buy it, though.
Oh, I get asked left, right, and center. Things come to me all the time, and people want to buy different things. I have a collection of them, actually. One is a medieval one that comes, like it's from 1465. He actually died in the St. Elizabeth's flood of 1465 in Europe. And, things come to me. I'm a caretaker for a while. Sometimes I'm meant to keep things, sometimes not. I've had things come to me where I end up finding proper, like collectors for them, where I'm only a stepping stone. I mean, I donated a very valuable collection of items that came into my possession, thinking I'm not the right one for this. This doesn't belong to me. It ended up going to somebody who will put it on the road to museums within a collection of, because based on what it was, so it was always meant to do that. Sometimes things come to you for nothing more than that. just to guide it into and put it where it belongs.
Right.
You know, I could have sold those to a collector and, you know, had a big smile on my face, but I would never have felt right about it. I never would have felt right about it because it was never supposed to be like that.
Right.
Right. So that's the way it is. So,
You're too
you know,
noble.
yeah, no, just
You're too noble.
don't
Too
need
much
the karma either.
Too much integrity.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone can have too much, but I'm glad for that. But I'll tell you, can things attach? I think spirits can attach to anything that they want. You know, whether it's an item, whether it's a house. I mean, what seems inconsequential to us may not seem inconsequential to the person who is sticking around. Maybe it's an item that just simply did not belong, you know, to that person. Maybe it was supposed to go to another person in the will and somebody hijacked it. Like there's things like that. Maybe, you know.
And I suppose that could be more of a residual energy in some of those objects than an intelligent energy, right?
Well, here's something else. You know how you tend to pass down jewelry and things like that. They'll tell you to cleanse those items. I mean, I worked with a family whose, I guess the mother had died or the grandmother had died. The ring went to the mother. The grandmother had died of cancer, and the mother was starting to feel ill. Whenever she wore it, she would start to get sick. And she no sign. It wasn't cancer, but she was sick all the time. So basically, I just said, you just need to just have it cleared, you know, and then she did. And then her health just bounced back. So there is that residual energy as well.
Amazing.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. And emotion. And yeah, absolutely. There's just so many things. Energy. That's the thing about energy. You know, it moves and it can do different things. That's what energy does. We are energy, you know, everything technically is frequency, vibration. You know, so if you factor all of that in, then you have to look at the fact that, yes, you know, a physical object can most certainly be affected by different energies.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a lot to wrap your head around, you know, it's a lot of heavy subjects, and, you know, we could sit here all day and try and figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like I have this, you know, I like to get obscure objects, right? So, because I think you've been to the manor when we were there, and you saw the cabinet I had with all the obscure, little novelties.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
I can still remember what you had in your parlor there.
Yeah.
You know,
with the skulls.
You know, the sarcophagus.
Oh yeah, that's here. That's here as well. Yeah.
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 Like I mean, I said this to you before. Like going into your old home, or the only one that I've been in.
Yeah.
It was like a cross between the Munsters, the Addams Family, and the Overlook Hotel. You know, but it was so cool.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Absolutely. But I do love these obscure pieces, and I have to make sure that I'm very much on top of some of the pieces that come to me, because it's very easy to, you know, get yourself in some trouble if you don't know what you're doing. Right. So,
well, as far as I know, I don't have any weird, obscure, haunted items. So
yeah. It's not so much that it's a Cat's asking. It's not so much that it's a. I prefer to call it a blanket box.
A blanket box.
It was sold to me as a blanket box, and I bought it from an auction for the TV show Rain. It's extremely ornate. You're talking about the ornate one. Yeah. It's extremely ornate. And you know,
you had a giant crystal ball sitting on it at the time.
Maybe. Yeah, I do. I still have it. It's downstairs.
Yeah, the crystal ball is like the size of a basketball. Yeah, it was massive.
Yeah. It came from a really haunted town in Pennsylvania. So it was great. Wow. I know.
It was great.
I just come trudging through the store with it. Mine. Thank you. You know, it's just, yeah. And of course, you know, a lot of taxidermy and stuff like that. So it's just, I don't know. I like obscure pieces. And some of those, at one time, I had a really large antique funeral collection. That retains energy as well. But I was never affected by that energy. Just clean it up and that's it. I think our mindset can play tricks on you. You just assume certain things will have certain types of energy. And lo and behold, surprise, it doesn't. But it looks like it should.
And maybe it's your mindset that's manifesting it, right? Or drawing something into it.
Sure.
So putting that antenna up that when you don't want it to.
Yeah. Bing, 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 bing.
So, yeah.
I want to buy you. I want to buy you. Here we go. No. So, okay, what's the creepiest thing that's happened to you in your paranormal investigation?
Oh my goodness. The creepiest thing.
Yeah. The thing that puts you on edge.
Like I said, before, I don't scare easily, especially with stuff like that. Like I've walked through a hat man, told him to get out of the way. I've been punched in the face by a ghost. I've been slapped. So last year, the one thing that kind of made me go, ooh, maybe sit up a little bit. Last year, Tony and I, we were up north, and I think I told you this. We were up in the Grundy Lake area.
Grundy Lake is great.
Which is your old neck of the woods, I believe.
Sure is.
And there's a gentleman that we got connected to through Ontario Sasquatch, where his property, it's not big, and it's just off the main road, not too far, but he has like a whole troop of Sasquatch on his property, and they're not the nicest Sasquatch. They'll slap his house, they'll throw rocks at his place. They've hit him and his family with the ultrasound, where they became paralyzed, like nobody could move.
Yeah.
And but he still goes back. It's my cottage, my place.
Yeah.
You guys are welcome to hang out around it, but just just don't be jerks about it, right?
Don't be a big jerk.
And Tony and I, it was the last evening that we were there, and so he's got one of those big campers, like the RVs or whatever that you tow behind the truck. So he's up he's got the little infrasound. What did I say? Did I say ultrasound?
You might have.
I might have. Infrasound.
I'm
sorry.
reading. Infrasound.
Infra. But he's up in the bedroom part of it because it's this thing's huge, and the kitchen table converts into a bed. So I'm sleeping on basically the kitchen table area, and just to my right is the door to come in and out of the trailer. It was about 5 a.m. and I don't know why I woke up, but I did, wide awake. And as soon as I woke up, I looked at the door, and I could hear this about 10-second growl go. And it just kept going. Yeah. And I went, oh no.
Dang.
And then something pushed on the door, and I could see the door come in like half an inch maybe. And I've always heard about Sasquatch with their mind speak. They speak to you from like the middle of your brain.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, listen, like calm we're leaving in the morning. You don't have to. You don't have to be that way. And then the growl ended. Like I said, it was like a good, solid, long 10-minute growl. And I wish I had a recorder going, but why would you? Why would you when you're doing this? Sleeping in a trailer or in a camper.
Yeah.
And the next morning, I told Tony. And we went outside. We looked at the outside of the door where it and there's this huge greasy handprint on the door. And we called everybody down because we had some other people from our Ontario Sasquatch team. There's this handprint on the door, and they're like, "Yep," But that was probably the one time where I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna get plucked out of this thing by and whatever." But and now I'm thinking, you bozo, why didn't you jump up and look out the window or whip the door open or whatever? But
do you think it's like the fight or flight thing? You're just like, I don't really want to look at it because then I have to admit it's real. It's right there staring at me.
Well,
and if we make eye contact, it might just throw its hand through the camper window or something. Because his hand was obviously on there. Probably look at you.
But I almost saw that as like a bit of a like, F you. Like this is our neighborhood.
I think my dog flipped Wayne off like that one time. In my little 3-pound chihuahua.
Right. But that's probably the only time where I got really like, oh, because even the first time I got growled at, like it was in a theater not far from here.
Yeah,
we were doing our where we did our podcast, where you and Wayne came up.
Yeah,
and we were in the basement doing our podcast, and I don't think we had a guest, but we heard like right behind us, we heard this, and we both kind of looked, and I said, me being the joker, I said, "Nice doggy," right? And but it didn't bother me at all. I was like, we just got growled at. Like, it's obviously it's something that, it's not a spirit of a dog. That's for darn sure. Because that place was hopping. Like that theater was crazy busy. But I was like, oh, that's so cool. But that was probably the only time when
there's something about those guttural growls that just sort of make you go.
Especially when you've heard that the biggest one on the property is about 13 feet tall.
Yes.
That's
big.
Like it's been witnessed. Like it has to bend over to look into the windows.
That's craziness.
It has its arm up on the roof, and it looks under the gutter. The soffit.
That's freaky.
So,
that is sort of freaky. You've sent some pictures. Is that from the same property, or is that a different property?
No, you know what? I didn't take. I don't think I took any pictures from that property. I was from that
property.
Yeah. I don't know why. Sometimes, people are always like, "Well, where's the photos? Where's where's this?" And like sometimes you forget.
Sometimes you're frozen in fear. You don't think about it.
Well, I was tucked in bed too, and in my underwear, so I didn't feel like jumping out and wrestling Bigfoot out in the tall grass.
No, it's true. Sometimes that is the way it goes. But you have sent some pictures. So do you want me to put up a couple of Bigfoot pictures? You could talk about that.
Sure.
Okay, let's do that. Show and tell, kids. Get ready.
I sent you some Dogman stuff as well, I believe.
Yeah, we'll look at that. So I'm going to put this guy up first because it's a pretty great picture. Bam, bam, bam. Okay, so tell us about this, Daniel.
So this
this
photo is in the public domain, so anybody can Google and find it. Okay. This one I love to show to people who are non-believers.
Yes.
Because this was in the Temagami area, which is way up north, probably 6 or 7 hour drive from here. Beautiful place, northern Ontario. And it was an older gentleman, and I hope that I'm telling the story properly. I've told it a bunch of times and nobody's corrected me so far. But he was an older gentleman. He and his wife bought a cabin, and he bought one of those. Remember when the panoramic cameras were a big thing?
Yes.
Where you get the long photo. So he was in his 70s, maybe a little bit older. Wasn't sure how the camera worked. I mean, I wouldn't know how the camera worked. I hate technology. But he went out to the back, and there's a slope that goes up. So and he's taking photos, and apparently he went back home, hooked this thing up to his computer, and this came up. And he was like, "What the hell is that?" And if you see in the next photo, I think, and if you you've got the next one there.
Yeah, let me just grab it because I think I've got them all separate. So 1 second. Of course, my computer's just doing a beat of its own drum. Okay, so that's the one that's looking like it's behind the trees. Is
that's no.
Or is that's the Dogman?
There should be two of this.
Oh, I got it. Okay, hold on.
All right.
Hold on, I'm on it.
Rookie.
I've been having a day, man. You have no idea what I've been through today.
Oh no.
The whole system was down. I'm like, no, tonight.
You would have got the night off. So you can see where it moves now, and you can see its elbow if you want to. You can see its thumb, right where it's putting its hand on the log.
Yeah.
And the old guy was like, "Oh my God, what the hell is this? What did I capture?" And he didn't even notice it, like with his own eyes, because he was focused on this goofy camera.
Yeah.
And they contacted someone, and someone went up to his property, and they measured. So they went up this ridge where this thing is, and the guy took the investigator or researcher took a measuring tape, and this thing where it's standing was 9 feet tall.
Wow.
And he also noticed that 2 trees had been pushed into an X formation just beyond where it's standing here. And he said, the old guy said, well, what do you think that means? And he says, I think it means he's telling you to stay out of his backyard, right? And he showed the pictures to his wife, and she was so upset that they got rid of the cabin. They never went back. So, but I show people this picture, and they go, "Oh, it's a guy in a suit." I'm like, "Well, we don't make humans that are 9 feet tall."
Not the last time we
I mean, there's the odd NBA player who might be like 7'2", 7'3".
Yeah.
And look at the width on this thing. Like, look at his back and his ribs.
It's a big girth, that's for sure.
It's huge.
Yes.
But still, people will say, "Oh, it's not real." And I'm like,
it's an incredible shot.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think it's probably one of the best photos ever taken of a Sasquatch. And I've heard people refer to the black ones as, they call them Janasquas.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard that term before.
I've not, no.
But apparently they're not as warm and fuzzy as like the patty, like the regular brown Pacific Northwest.
There's so many
Sasquatch.
different ones. There's red ones, there's white ones, there's brown ones, there's black ones, there's
I got a report from just outside of North Bay.
North Bay,
where they saw a white one. Close to the Indian Reserve there. I can't remember the name of it. It was in Tamagami, Paranormal Heart Podcast. She's asking where was this taken?
Yeah, she's one of our shows here on the network.
Tamagami, Temagami, Northern Ontario.
Yeah, Northern Ontario for sure.
And apparently Tamagami is like a hot spot, like a hotbed for Sasquatch activity. So we've had reports from up there.
That's very interesting.
But I love the cryptid stuff. That's what I'm focusing on mostly right now.
Yeah.
I just kind of stepped away from the spirits and the growlies, the demons.
The growlies.
The growlies.
I know. There's some growlies. There's a lot of different type of ethereals. So before we go on to some of the other photos that you've shown, I'm just going to bring a couple of these up because I'm going to have to show them. In your opinion, what are the cryptids? What do you think they are?
What are they?
Yeah, what do you think they are? Where do you think they come from? Are they dimensional? Are they? Do you think they're here? They've always been here.
I'm going to a lot of people say they believe like Bigfoot are the Nephilim, from the Bible, and I'm not really buying into that theory too much.
Yeah,
and I don't want to sound like
that guy,
but I absolutely know for a fact that they are interdimensional.
Right.
100% fact. I'll die on that hill because John and I have remote viewed them.
Yeah.
And I saw 6 of them come out of a portal. And that was like probably the most surreal remote viewing experience I ever had in my life.
Yeah.
And it's not a story I tell often, because people kind of look at me funny, but I don't care anymore. No, and I was just on a podcast recently, and I told yes, Wayne, spirit isn't going to rip your arms off and beat you with the wind. It's like Chewbacca, right?
Yeah,
he's not going to rip his arms out of your sockets.
Yeah,
but I'll just rub his belly. I'll just rub Sasquatch's belly, and he'll let me go.
Carrie says, if it's a hotbed for Sasquatch, it makes me wonder what is close by the location. Military base.
I know for a fact there's not a military base up there that we know of. I know that there is a military base in Northern Ontario that a lot of people don't know of.
Oh, I know exactly where it is, and it's also a hotbed for Sasquatch.
Yes,
the girls and I are planning to have a little trip up there because we have a family member who owns like 100 acres, like right there, which is
a lot of tunnels, a lot of underground tunnels in that area too.
Yes, there are. So. 100%.
But I believe that they are interdimensional, and I even think that the Fae, the fairy folk, and the Pukwudgies, and the Dogmen are interdimensional as well. So,
absolutely. I tend to think that. I tend to think the same thing. I mean, we've witnessed things like that also, and there's a really strong belief in it. Everything is connected. Everything is connected. It's not just paranormal. It's not just UFOs. It's not just cryptozoology. I mean, you start looking at the similarities between, extraterrestrial contact or abductions and some of the paranormal things that go on, like the smell of sulfur, like the big bright lights, like the popping sounds, like the what we call the hag syndrome, or the pushing down of the chest and the sleep paralysis. I mean, it is all the same, all of it. In fact, the similarities are so much the same that it's had me questioning a lot of my own experiences, which I knew were paranormal. But I also realized I was a contactee, and then became more of an experiencer as time went on, with not just paranormal, but extraterrestrials. And talking to my family, before my mom passed and my father passed, it was just like, okay, I need to know, did all this go on? Oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. I'm only finding this out now. It's all connected. Yeah.
And one thing, I see a lot of people on Reddit or X or Twitter or whatever, where they say aliens, E.T. Greys, reptilians, blah blah blah, that they're demons, and I'm like, no, I said, I don't think they're demons. I said, they may travel through the same portals that they use, because like you and I, and whoever's listening, we're all using the same cellular signals. We're all using the same TV, cable networks, that sort of thing, but we're not aware of each other. Right? So why couldn't they use the same portals but not be aware of each other? Or maybe they are aware of each other.
Let's talk dimensions. Dimensions, you have all these layers, but it's like a radio station. You can only listen to one at a time. And you get like bleed throughs.
Scientists have proven that portals or other dimensions are a real thing, right? So,
absolutely.
But I would say that a lot of that messes with people's religious beliefs, right?
It does. I think it does in some points. I mean, I think there are a lot more scary things out there than Bigfoot. Dogman now. That's a thing.
You know what I've been getting a lot of information on is crawlers.
Oh, those frickin' things. Okay.
Like the rake.
The rake. Oh, yeah. I know.
These white humanoid bald things.
Yeah.
We got 3, and I sent you a picture. There's the back of a car.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to go get it.
With some handprints on it.
I'm going to go get it. Yep, right now. Okay, so there's one that's got these big red handprints sort of thing. Is that the one I'm looking at?
No,
that's the one.
It's a car. Yeah.
Is this? This is a car? Okay, good. All right.
So this comes from the town of Keswick, which is
Keswick, Linda Carino. It's your backyard.
Linda Carino.
It's your backyard, man.
Yes, and
okay.
Well, this is who I think I got the picture from. Was Linda?
Linda.
Yeah, and she's from Georgina Township.
Georgina, but not far from Keswick.
No, but it's like this, in the same neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And a lot of paranormal activity in Georgina Township.
Oh, yes, there is.
A lot of UFOs seen coming in and out of Lake Simcoe.
Well, she's been on the show. She's talked about skinwalkers and stuff.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
She's been here a couple of times. Yeah,
right.
One of my paranormal survivor compadres. So, so what do you think they are?
So this picture. So there was 3 reports that I received, and they came through Linda.
Yeah.
And it was one lady told me her story firsthand. The other 2 encounters, they wanted to stay completely anonymous. Like this scared the hell out of them.
Yeah.
And the one couple, they'd stopped in downtown Keswick to go to the bank. It was like it was 1 a.m. I think they're coming home from a wedding, and they needed some cash for something else the next day. And one of these things ran out between 2 buildings. like right in front of them. Like it's 1 a.m., so it's pretty quiet. And it kind of looked at them and just kept, and they run on all 4s. And people say it's the most disturbing looking thing, because it looks like if a person is running on all 4s
with long limbs that do crazy things.
And they go really fast.
They do.
And so, and this lady here with the picture we're looking at, she came home and found these prints on top of her car. That's frost on the back of the car.
Yeah, that's craziness.
And she was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And but you don't see them anywhere else. You can't see them like on the top of the roof there.
No.
You know, just it's like it jumped or something and landed on the back window. And
its limbs are so long as well, though, that it could be
like
on
when
the
they
top
when
of the
they
car. You just wouldn't see it because it's white.
oh maybe
Mixes with the frost, right?
And everybody says they're like, when they stand up, they're like 7 feet tall, but they're really skinny.
Oh yeah, they are. They are.
But I've got tons and tons and tons of encounters from people about these things.
So this is that's the only picture of that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'm just trying to see here as we're moving along. Do we want to check this one out, or do we want
that one there? It's hard to see.
Yeah.
But if you look right in the middle,
yeah,
you know, between the V, you can see the eyes.
Yeah.
So this thing is like 13 feet tall, and this came from a guy up in just outside of North Bay.
Yeah.
And back, you know, when marijuana was still illegal,
yeah.
this guy had a huge grow up out in the bush.
Oh boy.
Like miles out of town. And this thing chased him out. And this is right on the edge of his father's property. And it scared the living crap out of him.
For real. Yeah.
And he called it the Lion Man. He said it looked like it had a face like a lion.
It really does when you look at it from that angle.
And I've got other pictures of it too. There's another one that I sent you where it kind of circled the head.
Hold on, I'm still looking at Sasquatch. There it is. Okay.
Yeah, that one.
That so looks like a lion. Hold on. Let me just bring this up so I can enlarge it a bit.
And some people will say it's pareidolia.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to bring up a better picture of it. Okay, keep talking. Okay. I'll bring it right up.
Where they say, it's just like, you see a face in the clouds, that kind of thing, pareidolia. But he went back and he took a picture when the leaves were gone. Yeah. And there's nothing but blue sky behind that.
Wow.
So, and like he saw it with his own eyes.
Yeah.
It scared the poor guy half to death.
Yeah, that would do it. That would do it.
And someone I don't think he went back to his crop. And
you can have it.
Yeah, and someone ripped him off anyway. He went back there, and one of his buddies had stolen all of his plants. But
that's insane. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm just trying to make my way through. So we've got all these guys. We've shown all of these. Okay, I can get rid of this one and bring up
the Dogman.
The Dogman.
The paw prints.
The paw prints and whatever the hell it was that was in
that's a great story.
Okay, hold on. I've got to find the one that was.
It's like
I'm going to put these up, and I'm going to look for the one that I'm curious about here.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just grab these right here. Okay, so go crazy. There we go. There's that guy.
So this is from British Columbia.
Right.
I can't remember the area. Interior.
Yeah.
Nowhere near the cities. So this guy contacted me. I have a Facebook page called Dogman Sightings Canada, and I don't do much with it, but it gets so many views and clicks, Yeah. But he contacted me and he says, "I saw one of these things. How do I kill it?" And I said, "Well, sir," I said, "I don't think you can kill it. You just need to leave it alone. Stay inside." Lock your doors, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because he saw this thing and his son saw it, and he described it as a hyena. He said it looked like a hyena standing on two legs, and it was about 6 to 6.5 feet. And it went around the side of the house, and then it disappeared. And he followed it. Like, this guy's got some guts.
Yeah.
And he stayed up all night with his crossbow because he wanted to shoot this thing. But then he went out in the morning and there was all these prints all over his truck, and the door was open. I'm like, well, bears don't tend to open car doors. I mean, it could, maybe it could by accident, but they certainly don't look like hyenas either. And so a year later, this guy went back to the same property. It's his ex-wife's property.
Yeah, I'm just gonna bring up the other one like that.
And he saw this thing in the backyard running along the property line.
Right.
And this time he'd taken his rifle with him. And he opened the sliding door to the ground level.
Yeah.
Or it's a man door with a screen on it. And he yelled at it. He says, "Whatever you're going to do, let's do it right now." Because I guess it scared him to the point where,
There's
he
the
wanted,
other one.
he wanted to challenge it.
Yeah. Oh boy, that's never good.
And so he heard a roar that was so powerful that it knocked him back, and he fell through the screen door. Like he pulled the door right off the hinges, like when he fell through it.
Wow.
And he was sleeping in the basement, and I guess a few hours later he had to get up and do his business, and he didn't want to go. He didn't want to go all the way upstairs because there was no bathroom in the unfinished basement, and he didn't want to go on the grass. So around the bottom of the house, they have like a concrete walkway.
Yeah.
He said, "Dan, there's no way I was going to step on that grass at 3 a.m. with that thing out there." So he peed on the concrete.
Oh boy, good.
And I should have sent you the picture, but I didn't think. But where he peed on the concrete the next morning, there was all these claw marks in the concrete.
Oh, because they would take that as a marking of your territory. I'm thinking.
Yeah, and it was like an FU, right?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
And
that could be.
It was incredible, like these claw marks in the concrete.
Yeah.
So,
well, again, being a canine variety, they're thinking you're marking your territory. That's not even acceptable.
And one thing I've heard about the dogmen is they can be real jerks, like spiteful, like if you shoot at them, like I've heard stories of state troopers in the U.S. shooting at them, and then the officer's at his home the next night. He's off duty, and he looks out and it's standing in his backyard. Miles and miles and miles away from where he encountered it. And they seem to be a little bit vengeful in a way. But
you need to Google the Port Robinson Beast.
Port
Robinson Beast, very close to here. There's crazy stories that come out of there.
Oh
yeah. Wayne was talking to a girl. She'd been chased by one. And when they saw their car the next morning, there were claw marks all the way down the car, just very destructive. And it was big. It was pacing the car. They were going at top speed. I can tell you the story another time, but definitely, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I just had a lady tell me she was out near Pembroke, and she had one.
Pembroke cat. Yeah. That's not your neck of the woods.
One was running beside a car.
Yeah,
and it had glowing red eyes, and her poor kids were in the car freaking out and screaming and yelling.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah,
grief. Yeah, they're pretty creepy. She's like, yeah, that's her neck of the woods, Pembroke. I need to know more of this. Yes. Well, don't go out at night.
Send me a message on Facebook. And I'll get back to you.
Yeah, there we go. So
this picture, if you see the hand on the left,
just
above the sticker there, it's really pointed, and it almost looks like there's another picture I might have sent it to you where it looks webbed. And this was and so the other hand is the person doing it just for scale.
Yes.
And everything.
Yes.
But this was a house where a person was having a lot of issues, paranormal, seeing shadow people, other things like oppressive things were affecting some of the people. And one day he came downstairs. I think this might be in the kitchen or the back door, and he saw these prints where they were like very pointed and scaly looking, and they look like they almost had like a bit of a web to them.
Yeah.
And I went to the home, and I picked up on a male spirit who wasn't very nice, but I didn't pick up on anything that had hands like that. So I didn't know what to make of it, but it's a cool picture.
Yeah. Carrie says a dogman, is it the same as a hellhound? I don't personally think it is, but what are your thoughts? I mean, I don't know everything.
I don't know anything about hellhounds.
I think, hellhounds are very ethereal. That's for sure. And
I think dogmen are like Sasquatch. They're in the bush mostly. They're big.
Have you heard of the land between the lakes?
Oh yes, I'd love to go down there. That's like.
You have to go visit Alan. Alan lives not too far from Virginia.
That's like the kennel for dogman sightings.
That and Sasquatch, Bigfoot. There's also a military base. I mean, they've got an area that's now a national park that used to actually be a community, and they got everybody out of there. And
Oh,
people have
it's
seen.
it's under the water, isn't it? Isn't that the community that's under the water?
If they flooded it, but people used to live there. Now they're allowed to camp there, and there are eyewitnesses. There are people still living who've had horrific experiences with Dogman, and apparently they war with Bigfoot. One's in the north, one's in the south, and
Really?
witnesses have seen Dogman being taken out by military. Dun dun dun. That speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Wow.
I know. Yeah, you got. I can send you notes on that. I've just got all kinds of stuff on that. People want to know, inquiring mind want to know. This is the second one that's come up. Is the Jersey Devil a Dogman? What are your thoughts on the Jersey Devil?
Jersey Devils usually are reported to have like a face of a
horse or something.
Of a horse with wings.
Yeah.
So I would
very
say
different.
no.
Yeah, very different, isn't it?
Don't get too many Jersey Devil stories out there. I think that might have been like,
yeah,
could have been something completely different, like an owl or a star, like a crane.
So an alien, basically.
An alien.
Yeah.
So, like the Flatwoods, cryptids, which
now I'm looking at. Sorry, I'm looking at pictures of trees. Are these Sasquatch structures that you have?
Oh, okay.
The night ones. Do you want me to show those?
Sure.
Okay, let me just get them up. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just want to know, am I supposed to show these? Because you can talk while I'm queuing.
I sent you a bunch of pictures as requested. I sent you some of my better ones.
Oh, this is great. Okay,
I got to take more pictures. I got to get into the habit of taking more photos.
Yeah, here we go.
Mm-hmm. So this is in North Bay proper.
Okay.
I won't say exactly where, but this is within the city limits.
Okay.
And this is the area where I remote viewed those Bigfoot coming out of that portal. Mm-hmm. And this tree or that log that's precariously wedged up there is about, I want to say 30 feet high or maybe a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And that tree, it's not from the one on its left because it's a totally different type of wood. And we tried to find the tree or the type of tree that went with it, and we couldn't.
Oh, interesting. So it traveled some distance then, basically.
Yeah, and whatever put it up there, has to be pretty damn strong and pretty tall, and something that could climb up that tree without any equipment and place it up there. And I don't know why. These tree structures are a bit of a mystery, but they are. They're familiar. Wherever you go, people see the same type of tree structures. The teepees, the interwoven limbs, the mounds. Also, and I think I've got a picture of the mound there as well.
Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna scroll up because the rest of these are the same idea. This is the mound here.
I can't see. You got to lift. Oh yeah.
Yeah, right here, and it's got because it goes over like this.
And it's got the little teepee or the the trees coming out of the top of it.
Yeah.
And my thing is, you have to be respectful because I would say, well, let's get a shovel and dig this thing up, but. You're probably asking for trouble big time. Mm-hmm. And some people say these are burial mounds for Sasquatch.
Well, how big was this thing?
You can see the gentleman there.
Yes.
That thing's probably a couple feet high and maybe 7 feet long.
Wow. Sounds like it could have been a juvenile.
Maybe.
If it's a burial. True. It's interesting because you don't usually find them. You don't ever see them like burial mounds.
No, but I mean, I wonder if someone had one of those devices where you can scan the ground, like X-ray the ground, and see what might be in there, right? Just so you don't have to disturb it, dig it up, that kind of thing. So,
I'm sure it could be done if they're aware of it.
And that's another picture of that same log. Look at that! And it's just that tiny little twig that's holding it up.
I know, it's crazy. It's very interesting.
It's still there. in North Bay gets a lot of snow.
Yeah.
And it's still there, so it's survived the winters, and
it's managed, just wedged right in there.
And and this one here, where it's kind of, it's just weird, intricately woven, sticks, and that's not people doing it either.
Yeah, well, it looks like it's. I mean, this one is, how high up is this one? Yeah, not too bad.
This one is only like maybe 4 or 5 feet off the ground.
Yeah, but still, for an average person, I mean, it would take some doing.
Strength that it takes to twist these trees and interweave them and everything is amazing. So
yeah, it's crazy. That's crazy.
Like, I can't do it. I'm a big dude.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
Yeah,
it's true. So, what are your thoughts then on things like? I mean, there's a lot of things that are out there. Have you encountered things like skinwalkers? And because, I mean, Linda said, "Oh no, we've got them out in the area," and that's just Georgina.
I think the skinwalkers are the crawlers. I think that's what people are seeing, like the rig.
I could tell you, we have
because a skinwalker could be anything, right? If it can shapeshift.
Well, we've got a couple of guys on our show who are from the Navajo Nation, who've had firsthand experiences with skinwalkers and whose families have, and they describe them. Everything happens. They have rigs on the Navajo Nation as well, and they're very different as well too, right? Yeah. He has sent me pictures. I'm just kind of like, very interesting stuff for sure. But they have everything. It's one of these places I call, the place that gets a perfect storm for like multitudes of
high strangeness
experiences. Well, for sure. I mean, they have Dogman, they have UFOs. Multiple Bigfoot, they have UFOs, they have portals that open up like windows in the sky. They've got Goatman. There have been the Thunderbird, which looks like a pterodactyl. They've had saber-toothed tigers. They've had with multiple eyewitness accounts, all of this. So yeah, you've got to go listen to Don't Whistle at Night. You'll hear all kinds of stories, not just from the Navajo Nation, but they bring on people from other indigenous nations, the Cherokee, the Blackfeet. You get all of this stuff when you realize how everything, direwolf, like you see how everything is the same. Crazy stuff. So you really learn a lot.
Connected as well in a weird way.
Very connected. Little people, they talk about their folklore and their oral history, and then you see it's like, holy crud. So yeah, it's pretty phenomenal stuff. So we definitely know that they're very different. They're not the same by any means, which is kind of scary because you realize there's a whole other kind of freaky thing running around out there besides a skinwalker. These rakes are really creepy. They're really creepy things.
Yeah, and they've been. So I recently just got a report from a gentleman from Missouri, where he was out looking for Bigfoot.
Yeah.
With a friend of his, and they found these tree structures, the teepees and the interwoven limbs and everything else. And he's looking through his FLIR camera, his thermal camera, and he sees one of these rakes like running across the field towards them.
Okay. And too much.
And it stopped about 40 yards away.
Yeah.
And he's watching it.
Yeah.
And it kind of like put its head up in a weird way, almost like if it heard them or smelled them or whatever.
Yeah.
And then bolted in the other direction. But he thought it was so weird that it was in the same exact spot where these tree structures were that were obviously made by Sasquatch. So
that is very fascinating.
Portals, might be portals.
Yeah. Well, that will do it. Have you ever seen those? They look like tall stick figures. They walk like this with the tall, long legs, and there's no real torso. They're just like this.
Oh, the Fresno.
That's the ones. Yes.
Fresno walkers or whatever.
Those are starting to show up in places now. Yeah.
So weird. Fresno, what do they call them? The Fresno Nightcrawler, I think.
Nightcrawlers, I think.
Yeah, if someone can Google it while we're
it's wiggy. Well, I could probably go do that too. Yeah. They're wiggy things, and
it looks like a clothespin. There's no arms, there's no real head. It's just like it's so bizarre.
Hold on, I'm going to crawlers is what I think they're called. Hold on.
I think you got to put Fresno in front of it, though.
Yeah, I did. I'm
Okay.
I'm just going in for like images.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, guys, check this. Just crazy stuff. Just hold on.
I don't know what to make of those things.
I'm doing it. I was approached by a guy a couple of years ago, and he goes, "I need information on this. I have been researching them. I have experienced them firsthand." And I'm just kind of going, "You poor bugger." Here we go. Look at these things.
Yeah, the top left is the original.
That's the original one. Yeah. Then they've sort of darkened it up over here, and of course, you have. I'll tell you something. I have had an elderly friend that you and I were talking about him earlier. Lives in Grimsby, or used to live in Grimsby. He's up north now, and he used to get these on his property all the time.
Wow.
All the time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. He just called them stick figures, but I knew exactly what he was talking about. These
so bizarre though.
They're creepy. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't even have it doesn't look like they have faces or anything.
No, there just doesn't seem to be anything. I'm going to see if I can, if it'll let me. Bring it up a little bit. Yeah, it's about the best I can do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like there's not much to them. They're definitely dimensional. They have to be. I mean, you just don't see these things all the time. It's nuts. Right?
No.
So I don't know. I'm just saying that, that's kind of crazy. But it could pass for a Muppet. I knew a Muppet once. I'm gonna leave that right there.
I've known a lot of Muppets, unfortunately.
Oh my God. Old fashioned. Yeah, like a clothes peg. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Some of them are just, we share space with some crazy things. Absolutely crazy things. And I think we all have to factor in that there are so many things about our universe and our planet that we have no idea. I look at Bigfoot. I look at some of these beings. And we have forests that are so dense that have cave systems that go down forever, and it's easy for things to hide. It really is easy for things to hide because you could go pretty deep. Some of these things have their own ecosystems, like.
Well, like that cave in Vietnam, that huge one. It has its own weather system inside.
That's what I mean.
And people have reported seeing little reptilian creatures running around in there.
Yes.
So
don't get me started on cave systems with reptilians because that's a show in itself that we could do. Believe me. She says, "Wow, I saw something like that on the backside of the Three Sisters Mountains in Canmore. It was daytime. I didn't know they had a name, or I needed to hydrate." Oh no, they're a thing, girl. They're a thing. So, I goes, I'm open to most of everything, but that one I don't think I can get behind. Not saying anyone is right or wrong or lying. There's one guy researching out there, and I can tell you this. He basically was trying to find other people who have experienced this. Now, this was a couple of years ago. I asked if he wanted to come on the show, talk about it. At the time, he said he wasn't prepared to. I said, okay, fair enough. But I can tell you, I've heard other people. This older gentleman I was talking about, I trust 100% because I know him. And he's just, you have a guy who's that older, who's almost like 70s. He's got better things to do with his time than make up stuff because he's trying to describe it to me. He didn't even know they had a name. He didn't know what it was. He's describing it. And I knew from his description, this guy doesn't even go on a computer. He's just only in the last 6 months learned how to use a cell phone to text.
Wow.
That's all he can do. And when he was texting, he thought he was actually leaving me a phone message. I'm like, that's not how it works. But, so there's just absolutely no way I would think that I would trust him as a source. This other person, I did not know.
Mm-hmm.
And I respected the decision of him not wanting to come on board and talk about it. It's just, he wasn't his thing, to the point where he goes, I'm not prepared. I'm still in my researching stages. I've had experiences. I know where, they've sort of popped up. And beyond that, he goes, I want to make sure I'm not crazy. I want to make sure that I want to know that there are other people having these experiences. And at the time, my elderly friend had never reported anything like that before. And it was probably about 1.5 years before he ever did.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's one thing I have learned in this field of high strangeness, as we say, is that we don't have the answers to everything. Things are coming through dimensionally, multidimensionally. We can be part of a multiverse. We can be part of like multiple dimensions or multiple portals. Like just.
And do you remember that creature? Remember the sighting that I texted you about? You said it sounded like Pan, the god Pan.
Sure did, yeah.
So I got, for the audience, I got a report from this gentleman.
Yes, exactly.
And he's down there. Oh, there's Tony.
Yeah, there we go.
And,
yes, exactly. Yeah.
And this guy was up north, again, like up in the Temagami area.
Yeah.
And he was camping with a friend in the summer, and he was walking down an old logging road, and like he said, 70 to 80 yards in front of him, right on the bush line where this old logging road is, is this thing about 5 feet tall, with little horns coming out of his head, almost like when deer just start to sprout their horns.
Yeah.
It was black fur, but it was wearing like a burlap, like crude burlap pants. Nothing else.
Yeah, they're forest entities,
And he was smoking. He said, Dan, it had
that's a bit weird.
He said it had like rolled, like leaves, big green leaves rolled up, and it was lit. He could see the smoke. And this thing kind of looked at him, and he was looking at it, and he said we stared at each other for like a minute.
I kind of wonder if it's a type of fae. Like they're like wood elves and things like that,
But he said, he says, I know what I saw. He told his friend he was camping with, and the guy's like, oh, okay, what have you been smoking? But there's so, like you said, there's so many weird things out there, things that are coming through, out of the ether or through dimensions or whatever, and like these crawlers, like the crawler sightings are like, you go on Reddit and look up crawler sightings almost every week. There's someone's posting a new.
See, so why are they coming
like
up?
Dogman, Sasquatch, of course, and others like Fae, Pukwudgies. I've seen my own little person.
Yeah.
And like that was crazy.
But those are to be expected, and people, figure that those are Fae folk as well, the little people, and they're just. Many indigenous people talk about them. In fact, Don, the guy from the Navajo Nation, I was talking about. They have all kinds of folklore, and they all talk about it. But I tend to wonder as well when you think about tulpas. Things like manifestation, like Slender Man. That's a tulpa. That's created in a bloody chat room, to the point where there are sightings of this guy, and it keeps evolving. And then I remember doing some research, and I said, you know what? When I was researching for some crazy tales for Christmas, and they were talking about Santa, and people were talking about these ridiculous experiences, some were actually pretty hostile. And I'm thinking, tell me that's not tulpa, where we have focused and created this being to the point of mannerism and everything else, and people are having actual sightings of this Santa. Some of them in the street, middle of the night, with elves, and they're just sitting there going, sure as heck, that is what I'm seeing. And others have been reports of people, even as kids, waking up, and then all of a sudden they come down to sneak and have a look, and they just looks at them like, like, oh yeah, like, what are you up for? Really aggressive.
But why does everything have to seem nasty though? Why can't there be like happy cryptids? Like even but even if you talk to people about the Fae, they could be super nasty.
They can, but they're often
if you disrespect them, like, they'll mess with you big time.
Well, they can, and they can also be very helpful. You have to go back into ancient lore for stuff like that. I have the authority on it to me is like Morgan Daimler. We had Joshua Cutchin last night. And I have to say, for those people who came in after I actually talked about or, opened up the show, when Joshua actually left the studio after we signed off the show, just FYI, my camera completely came back on. I'm like, Anyway, I will make fun with it because I'm just like, holy crud. But the thing is that, there's so many stories. Morgan Dame is probably one of the best authorities I know on that. She's studied it for like decades. And there are actually people who have married them. Fae and
Really?
humans. Yes. Oh yeah. It's crazy. There's so much.
When we still had our podcast going, we had Patty Negri on the show.
Yes.
She's the lady from Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
like the white witch that they have on, and she was a super nice lady. And as we're
Yeah.
talking to her, we could hear like these little bells tinkle. And she kept on talking. I said, hold on. I said, hold on a second. I said, what was that? What was that noise? And she goes, oh, what noise? And I said, listen, I said, don't you be coy with me. I said, we all heard it. And she said that she is, very familiar and deals with fairy magic.
Yeah.
And we heard the bells on the podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, oh man, like what's going on here? Like, maybe there is more to this stuff, right?
I think there's a lot out there that we will never completely understand. I don't think we're meant to completely understand it. I think that, if you're lucky to catch a glimpse or unlucky, depending on what it is, that not everyone is meant to see. I think there are those who will see because, either you're trusted to see, or maybe it has something to do even with your bloodline, your lineage, your past lives. We don't know exactly what it is. Some people see everything. And I don't just mean psychically.
Yes.
Yeah, but not even psychically, because a good remote viewer can go in and see anything. People who can just not even technically be a remote viewer, but who know how to just tap into spaces and catch glimpses, things like that are definitely happening. But there are people who in real time just happen to see everything. I feel the indigenous are very much like that throughout the world. One thing I have learned from talking and having many indigenous guests and people who have researched it is that, these places hold incredible energy, and the people going back through generations through the oral history have been fairly relaxed with it. They talk about their friends from the stars, or you look at the Hopi, their friends that are underground, or, they have all these incredible power spots, and they call on their ancestors, and the ancestors will come in and they see these spirits, and they just seem to be able to connect in ways that a lot of people can't, which is very, very interesting to me.
Like that area in North Bay.
Yeah.
They had a lady come up. Apparently she's, I guess quite gifted psychic medium.
Yeah.
And she said, this is like one of the most, I forget the term that she used, but she says, this is one of the most spiritual places I've ever been to in my life.
Right.
She says, this is like top 5. And she's been all over the world.
Yeah.
And other than the Sasquatch stuff, there's been some other weird things happening there as well.
Okay.
And I'll tell you a story.
Yes.
So Jim and Andrew, father-son team, they've been going in there for years. They've been gifting. With the Sasquatch in there. They're quite familiar with the, like, they can walk through that area blindfolded. They know it so well. But there's always a place where they kind of feel a little bit weird.
Yes.
And they were in there they said it was in November. So it had just started to snow. You get snow and then it would melt, and snow and it would melt. And so it was like crunchy snow.
Right.
And they were about to go into this trail system, and this woman, regular heights, regular build, wearing a hood, walked out of the bush. And it's like 4 or 5 in the morning. And walked right past Andrew. Like he moved out of his way because, here comes this lady coming out of this trail system. And she walked right up to Jim, and she had this cloak on, her hood, and she looked up, and he said, Dan, her eyes were glowing blue like lightsabers.
Wow.
And
interesting.
He said, I've got this woman's voice in my head, like this powerful voice, and it said, kill yourself. And he replied back in his head, like, go F yourself. and they both had like a weird time lapse. They thought they were only in there for like a couple minutes, but when they looked at their watch, it was like half an hour later. And
crazy. Missing time.
This woman disappeared, and they looked at the ground because there was snow on the ground. There weren't any footprints, and they were like, man, oh man, like he calls her the forest demon now, like he's giving her a name kind of thing, but they still go in there. They still go in there, and but the best thing was that they both saw it, right? And
well, it helps, when you have
scared
more
the hell
than
out of them.
eyewitness. But like what the topic of last night's show was similarities between UFOs, the UFO phenomenon, and the Fae folk. Now, a lot of people believe that the forest dwellers are perhaps a type of Fae. Maybe they're a type of ET. Because a lot of them, they're very fast. They disappear very quick. They can appear very quick. And it has nothing to do. I mean, there are some ETs which are just like, big, bright, glowing eyes, beautiful blue or green, and they really draw your attention, I think people get wiggy, and it's automatic to just think, oh, demon, for sure. I mean, and not that they're not. There's a lot of deceptors out there. But, I think there's just a lot of beings that we share space with here. Right. I've learned that.
And I've seen things too that I can't, I can't really even describe, John and I, we were seeing this thing, and I don't know if you've ever seen it. We call it the Tic Tac Man, but it was like a humanoid. It was all white, and we're seeing it like in a spiritual sense, like a ghost, like see through. But it had a head like a tic tac, and a nose like a bird's beak almost. But no eyes, no mouth. And it showed up at John's place, and because John and I were always talking, and doing our thing, one night it showed up at my place. And I was like, oh, there's this thing that the Tic Tac Man. And we did a podcast with a psychic medium up at another theater, not the same theater that you were in, but one in the same town. And she saw it, and we hadn't even told her about it. So that was a really cool validation to have too. And she's like, because she was looking over my shoulder at the stage, and she had this weird look on her face. I said, what are you seeing? And she's like, there's this white thing with this weird head, a head like a pill, like a tic tac, right?
Like a tic tac,
and it wasn't like sideways, it was up and down. And
like a little Lego man.
Well, but it was skinny. It was
the little heads, just little things.
Oh yeah, I guess
little round things.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that no. I mean, there are, I still think there's so many things out there that and I shouldn't say things. They're beings, they're races from somewhere, and I think there's still so much out there that we haven't seen yet, and maybe because part of it is we're not ready to see it.
Probably. We might have been ready hundreds of years ago, but just the way, just the way things like, I'm not a big fan of technology.
Yeah.
Like I know it makes our lives easier.
Sure.
Kind of, sort of, but I think it takes us away from our, like you said, the energy, the energy of the earth, the elemental side of things too.
But right? I would agree with that. And when you say elemental, there's so many elemental beings out there that can be aggressive as well and protective. And, they are protectors, the four elements, and they can be, they'll protect their space. But I think a lot of it is because people don't understand. You're dealing with they're planetary spirits, so of course they're going to be very powerful, but I mean, we've never had any issues with them working with them. And there are ways of calming them down. Once you have an understanding, it is amazing, just amazing when you come to those realizations, it's just like, it's incredible. when you get that glimpse into their world, and that they allow you that glimpse into their world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but we should, she goes, we must believe that all is unexplainable. Absolutely.
That's right.
Um,
And there's things that I've seen that you had no clue about, and there's things that, oh God.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And,
Yeah.
like that little Furby thing that I saw the one night. And I even showed you a picture. I had drawn it.
Yeah.
And for the listeners, I was sitting at home one evening watching TV, and most of the lights are out, and I just had like maybe a couple lamps on in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And out of the corner of my eye, I could see something coming down the hallway. And I thought it was my cat.
Mm.
And if anybody is familiar with the old Furby toys, remember those weird looking things, with the big eyes.
It looks like a gizmo.
And and the little beak.
Yeah.
I saw this thing come down the hallway. It was about maybe maybe not even a foot tall.
Yeah.
And it was in like spiritual form. It was just like do coming in. And I looked at it right in the eye, and he looked at me, and it kind of made like a, oh crap, he can see me face.
Yeah.
And he deked into the kitchen. And I was like, what the hell was that?
Right.
And then I was reading a book. By a girl named R.H. Stavis.
Okay.
If you look, it's a great book. She does like what you do, like gets rid of nasty things, but mostly attachments to people. And I'm reading this book, and she talks about this Furby looking creature. And I went, oh, are you kidding me? And then I talked about it on my podcast, and there is a lady in town here where she was listening to the podcast, and it was that specific one where I was talking about this Furby thing.
Yeah.
And she was painting her a bedroom, and she dropped her paintbrush because she's like, oh my God. She says, my daughter has been seeing these things since she was a baby.
Wow.
And she said, you gotta, she took pictures that her daughter had drawn over the years.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing that I saw. These like this little Furby.
So it's something that's within your area, obviously.
Well, I think this other lady, this R.H. Davis, she's in California, L.A. So right.
Yeah, but I just find it interesting that you have somebody else within your community who saw the same one, though.
For sure. And I mean, the cute little things. I don't think they're I don't think they're malicious or anything. No. But he just kind of like down the hallway and went, oh, and he deked into the kitchen.
Wow.
And you hear a lot of that where people when they see the Fae or Pukwudgies or whatever,
I just like to say Pukwudgie, just saying.
Yeah, where they look at each other and they kind of you can see me, right? And then they disappear, like they've let their guard down for a moment or whatever. But like you said, there's so many weird things out there. And I think if people could see them, they'd have heart attacks. I know you've described some crazy things to me.
I've seen crazy. Oh, I've seen crazy,
like
crazy
six-legged dog-like things crawling up the wall and brownie or hobgoblin.
A brownie or a hobgoblin of the house or a gugok. They go to homes of people they like and help out the family. Unless you disrespect them, they will stay and help. Very interesting.
I almost wonder whoever created the Furby, if they could see them or they saw one. Well, that's where they got the idea. Or these creatures put it in that person's head.
Yeah.
Like, oh, make some toys for kids like us.
It could be. Stranger things have happened.
Does anyone see Smurfs?
Yeah. No. Has anyone seen Smurfs? Why not?
No. People see little creatures, but
from her, you mean Dobby?
No.
Dobby, not Dobby. Oh, those are the little fur balls. Yeah, that's right. The little furry things.
Dobby is very distinct looking, right?
Yeah, he's like a little golem type of thing.
Yeah,
I think he's adorable.
These things,
want to give him a sock.
You couldn't see you couldn't even see his feet. He was like a penguin, kind of down the hall. But.
Yeah. Yes. Anyway, a lot of turmoil going on in the world. Absolutely. Thoughts and prayers go out to everyone, especially the families of those who perished on the flight coming out of India.
Oh yes, that was
today,
awful.
yesterday. Yeah. So our thoughts to all who need it, prayers to all who need it. We are coming up to the end of the show. We're at the just about at the top of the hour, and it's been a lot of fun. It was really nice to connect up again. And it's been a while. Every now and then, like I say, we're able to catch up. And of course, I live a little bit further than you now, so at least before a little bit
Oh,
closer.
you're closer this time, I think.
I what?
I think you're closer this time than before.
No, I used to be in Burlington.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you were still in Burlington.
No, no, I'm not. I'll have to let you know I am.
Yes.
Well, I mean, look at where you came
Tell me
before.
where you are.
You came to the manor, right?
Yeah.
So that was. So
You're
yes,
not
I will.
far-
I will let you know. Absolutely.
Alrighty. Are you further away than the manor was?
No, a little bit closer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a little bit closer. But thank you for joining me tonight. And you guys, always in the chat room, always wonderful. My chat family, and we love you all so much for doing that. And I'm so grateful for all of you. Okay, let's just talk about who's going to be here next week. Okay, Beyond the Outer Realm, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, is going to be Joe Montaldo, our Grand Poobah, as I like to call him, fearless leader. It's going to be an uncensored open mic, and anything goes. And I'm sure, without a doubt, it's going to go. But of course, hopefully we'll narrow down a little bit of a topic matter. Should be very exciting because anybody who's watched even the Gray Zone with Joe and I, it could go anywhere. That's all I'm going to say. It could go anywhere. Anyway, Wednesday night, okay, brace yourselves, open mic with my guest co-host Wayne Mallows. I know you guys love him. It's crazy how many people I have asked to just have him come back on. So another great lineup of information to share and discuss. Also, another favorite coming on Thursday. Another one of my dear friends, Nathaniel Gillis, returns to explore golems and the homunculus. If I said that even properly, I probably butchered it, but it's always interesting. And I think Nathaniel is slowly wrapping up for the summer. So we are really grateful that he's going to be here with us. So big thank you to my friend Dan Hammond for joining me and us this evening. You have, of course, thanking our sponsors, Folgers Coffee, Justin Snicker, Steve McGinnis. Thank you. We appreciate you so very much. And we have been broadcasting here in the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from New Orleans. And yes, I am happy to bring Dan back on. We just have to jam about some other things that we can talk about.
I have to get back out there and do some more.
He'll get into the field. We can get into some stuff at that point. He can let me know when he's ready. And if
anybody's got some great stories they want to share with me, because I do write books and stuff, contact me through the Canadian Dogman sightings.
Yes.
Or on my Dan Hammond Facebook page.
There we go. And if you're not sure because you can't remember, just message me. I'll put you in touch. Keep things nice and simple.
Cool. Love to hear from people.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, it was a pleasure. It's nice to catch up.
And all the cool people that are letting us know what's what's out there and what their thoughts are.
I'm surprised with cool people. But yeah, we've got so many. We're just
this is where all the cool kids hang out, right?
This is where the cool kids hang out.
That's
the top cool kid right here.
Yes.
Ooh, we're just one big happy group.
And keep an eye out for those MicheleDerocher bobbleheads. I'll be putting the order in soon.
There we go. I love it. Okay, everybody. Good night, and we shall see you all on Tuesday. Just remember, full lineup of shows tomorrow, starting off with, of course, The Matrix. I can never remember. Honestly, this is a new one for me. We have Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. We have Father Sean, right? Paranormal Ministry. We have Spirit Switchboard, Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. We've got Church of Mavis, and we've got News on the Flip Side. It's a full lineup every day, every single night. So check us out. Tons tons of stuff to just enrich your happy minds, and some that may damage. So be careful and go in at your own
And
risk.
I had Carrie Lynn on my podcast.
Isn't she great? I've known her for so many years, and I
It's
just
such
adore her.
our paranormal world is very small and very tight.
It is, and it's great because she's also on the network, Spirit Switchboard.
Very cool.
I bring all my friends around, Dan. Seriously. Anyway, good night, everybody. Have a fantastic week.